When a feared biker gang rolled into a quiet diner, no one dared to breathe. But when their leader spotted bruises on the waitress's face, the town witnessed something they'd never forget. This isn't a story about violence, it's about redemption, courage, and the kind of kindness that rumbles louder than engines. Inside the diner, the smell of coffee and bacon filled the air. The regulars sat frozen as the bikers walked in, their boots heavy on the tile. The waitress, her name tag said Mara, greeted them with a shaky smile. She couldn't have been more than 30, with tired eyes that looked older than her years. Her hands trembled slightly as she poured their coffee. Rex watched her carefully. When she leaned close to set down his plate, he noticed it, a faint bruise just below her jawline. She tried to hide it with makeup, but you can't hide pain from someone who's lived with it. Rex's stomach tightened. He'd seen that kind of mark before. He'd seen what caused it. And he'd failed someone once because he hadn't stepped in soon enough. That memory, one he'd buried for years, came clawing back. Hours passed. The lunch crowd came and went. The bikers laughed among themselves, but Rex barely said a word. He watched Mara from his seat at the counter, the way she flinched when the manager barked orders from across the room. The man was thick-necked with a mean glint in his eyes, and every word out of his mouth dripped with quiet cruelty. Rex saw the way Mara avoided him, the way her smile vanished when he came near. Then it happened. The manager brushed past her roughly, spilling coffee all over her hand. She whispered, "I'm sorry." But his response was sharp, cruel enough to make her shrink back. The diner went silent, but no one said a thing. Rex clenched his jaw. He could feel that old anger, the kind he tried to leave behind, rising inside. But this time it wasn't about revenge. It was about righting something wrong. That night, Rex sat in his garage, surrounded by the soft hum of neon lights and rows of polished bikes. His brothers from the club came by, loud and joking, but he barely heard them. All he could see was that bruise, and the way Mara's eyes darted down every time someone raised their voice. He remembered his sister, the one he couldn't save. He'd promised himself he'd never stand by and do nothing again. And by sunrise, he'd made up his mind. When Mara arrived at the diner the next morning, she froze. A line of motorcycles was already parked outside, chrome catching the morning light. Rex sat at the counter, waiting quietly with a cup of coffee. He smiled faintly. "Morning." She tried to hide her bruise again, brushing her hair across her cheek. "Morning," she said softly. "You want the usual?" But Rex didn't answer right away. He looked her in the eyes. "You okay?" he asked gently. She nodded too fast. "Yeah, I'm fine." He leaned forward, his voice low but firm. "You don't have to lie." Something in his tone, calm, certain, kind, broke through her wall. Her lip trembled. Then the tears came. The manager stormed out from the kitchen, shouting, "What's going on here?" But before he could take another step, Rex stood up. The room fell completely silent. Behind him, a dozen bikers rose too, silent, steady like a wall of steel. Rex didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "You think hurting someone weaker makes you strong?" he said quietly. "It doesn't make you strong, it makes you nothing." The manager's face went pale. He mumbled something, but one look at Rex's men shut him up fast. He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. The silence that followed felt like peace. Mara stood frozen, tears still streaking her cheeks. She whispered, "Thank you." Rex shook his head. "You don't owe me that. You just start again without fear." For a long time no one moved. Then, slowly, an old man in the corner started to clap. Then another. And another. The sound filled the diner like a heartbeat, slow, steady, alive. By nightfall, the story spread through Maple Ridge. The Iron Wind Biker Club, once feared, had done something no one expected. And Rex? He didn't see himself as a hero. He just finally kept a promise he'd made a long time ago. Months passed. The diner got new management. Mara got a new start at a cafe across town. Sometimes Rex stopped by for coffee. Not as a savior, just as a friend. And every time she smiled now, it reached her eyes. One evening, as the sun set over Maple Ridge, she watched a familiar line of motorcycles roll by. Rex lifted a hand as he rode past, a quiet salute between two people who'd found strength in kindness. Because sometimes, kindness doesn't come with soft words or gentle hands. Sometimes it comes roaring in on two wheels, wearing leather and a heart that has known pain.